Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you Game 2 of a best of 3 between Gonzo and Prestor John in the first semi-final in Season 3 of the Steel Division 2 League. Today they are playing on Siedlce, and both players have once again decided to play on the Allied side. So on our left in the red team, Gonzo is playing with the 29th Tank Corps and the flatline deployment type. No surprise there. And on our right, we have Prestor John in the blue team, playing with the 3rd Armoured and the Maverick deployment type. And this is specifically a division and deployment type combination we've seen him use already in the tournament. That's a bit of a different matchup for Prestor John, because I believe he was up against some lighter armour before, whereas the 29th Tank Corps can indeed bring in those beautiful IS-2s. On the top side here for Prestor John, he does have the M8, he's got a flamethrower leading the charge. 4 units of engineers, an armoured rifle with the BAR, 2 bazookas in half tracks, as well as the artillery command there, and an M3A1 OP105mm off map for that top side. There is the 2 engineers further down with an M1 gun and an M8, 2 flamethrowers rushing towards the centre of the map, M8 rushing the bottom with an M1 gun flamethrower, and 50 cal holding that with a M8 as well. On the side of Gonzo, he's got Siedlce and PTRS pushing the front line. Siedlce Komroti, that is. 2 PTRS there and an Ognemachiki, pushing forwards to maybe to take out some of these half tracks. And then following that up, on the bottom side, he's got 3 units of Siedlce here, 45mm AT guns, another 3 Siedlce with T-34, 85, 1944, another unit of Siedlce there with a T-34, 85, 1944, and then on the top side, again, 2 PTRS with the Siedlce Komroti and 2 AT guns. So, looks like for the most part, he's set himself up with similar compositions across the front. Gonzo going for the double AT with a leader, triple Siedlce, and then the AT guns behind. And these T-34 85s, they're going to be pretty crucial for breaking down some of this armor that Prestor John's going to be putting out in the early game. Now, the way that the 3rd Armoured Maverick works on the side of Prestor John is he's very reliant on his jumbos. And those jumbos can bounce IS-2s at a distance. But if they get close, which I guess Gonzo is going to try and go for, the jumbos can't really fight back very well and will be able to be penetrated by those IS-2s. The way that Prestor John can deal with that is by using things like these bazookas, and he does have those on standby, sneaking one round the top side there with that engineer unit. Might be a good idea to leave the engineer back for the time being and allowing the bazooka to move around the back side of the map. We've seen that in a few games. T-34 85 going to take down one of the half tracks there. Nice clean shot. Currently though, 13 to 11. Looks like Prestor John started with a little bit more territory than Gonzo. I think that comes down to mainly the map in general, but also the placement of these flamethrowers in the centre from Prestor John. The M1 gun, that is covering any reinforcements into this town. There is already a large amount of Tanko Thessaloniki pushing forwards, and the smoke from the Ognemachiki could really make a big difference here in allowing those Tankos to get on top of the engineers in this engagement. 50 cal has joined the fray on the top of this hill. They'll probably move up next to the M1 gun. The flamethrower does get in there. M3A1 also moving down to provide cover with its 50 cal away from the sight of these T-34s. Looks like these half tracks on the top are going to take shots from the AT gun, both of them getting hit pretty hard, but not dying. M4A1 now on the way. So this is breakfast for a T-34 85 1944. They can be killed very, very quickly indeed. The standard AP shell is what the T-34 will want to be using, and you can see that as I select the T-34 85 there, at the bottom of the screen, you can see that Gonzo has turned off the APCR so that he can get the maximum penetration at range. Because for those of you who aren't aware, APCR does tend to have less penetration at range than the standard AP rounds, because it loses velocity in the air. Siedlce SVT are going to be engaging the rifles and the engineers here at range. They're going to be forced to push forwards a little bit, otherwise they're going to get caught out by this off-map. The off-map was a little off the mark But as more rounds come down, Gonzo is going to be forced to fall back and the engineers win the engagement. So nicely done so far. More Strelki on the way here though. Strelki SVT and Spanish Strelki going to try and secure that flag away from the flamethrower infantry. Oh, nice snipe. M1 gun takes out the Strelki in the middle. Gonzo now coming in with a bombing strike though straight away. That's a 1,000 kilogram bomb from that A20C Boston. The M15 is going to try and shoot it down. Will just scratch the surface. Lovely kill. Also does a lot of damage to the 50 cal and the T-34-76 in the town. It's the M8 on the edge of the ridge. So a lovely couple kills from Gonzo, but his infantry is very much under pressure. The engineers with those M1 Garands not only engage well at medium range, but they can also win at close range with the HE TNT. So you can see they are cutting down the PTRS squad there. They've chipped a lot of these Strelki. There is one Strelki still in close cover, but again, once they get bumped into by those engineers, that's not going to be good news. Strelki SVT do find the flamethrower before the flamethrower can fire, which is good news for Gonzo. He can clean that up freely. There's now moving a T-34-76 into that salient as well, which is going to force Prestor John to react. He's going to have to bring in either an AT gun further back or bring in some sort of armor that can counter this play. Jumbo arrived on the top side. Now we see a P-51 Mustang coming in for the bombing strike onto the Strelki SVT. Looks like the engineers took an absolute beating from the T-34-76s. These T-34s do have 2 machine guns on them, plus the HE shells, so can make short work of those engineer squads. One of the flamethrowers was killed. There is still one left in the way of Gonzo in the center. He's going to look to break that down, and if he does, that gives him probably 2 flags there, which would push him into the lead over Prestor John. Prestor John currently holding the 13-11, mainly thanks to this push on the top side now. These armoured rifles will be able to kill the Strelki SVT. Gonzo's other infantry here are not in a good shape at all. T-34-76. That's looking for a shot onto the M15. That is very risky. Can it get the kill? Yes, it can. The M15 goes down. Beautiful stuff. That's going to open up any airplay for Gonzo, although it's very unlikely to see that from the 29th. It's not something they're very well known for. Do tend to rely more on their tanks. But will at least allow Gonzo to bring out fighters to counter the Mustangs and not have to worry about the AA necessarily. Also opens up more avenues of attack for his A20 Bostons that we've seen already. They're not terribly reliant on those usually. Anyway, Bazooka's going to be trying to sneak around the backside of the map here. Tanko Desaniki might end up spotting that as it runs across to the open. We've got a Cobra coming in. That's an interesting plane to be using. It's got the 82mm frag rockets and did manage to destroy that M1 gun very quickly indeed. Now Cobras are really good at taking on frontal passes, and the Mustangs are not very strong, so it might even be able to pick off this Mustang as well. Well, the Mustang got a little bit of chip there, and that is some decent damage. Prestor John is going to put down a 105mm off map onto this town. There's a lot of infantry here, so that could do a lot of damage. Further down, T-34 is still pushing up alongside the Strelki. M8 now engaging that from a distance. I thought that might be an AT gun or something, but either way, these 2 flags, are they going to be held by Gonzo? Nope. The movement of these M3A1 half-tracks has prevented this Strelki from capturing that objective. And we do see, is that the Mustang going down? Looks like it. The P-39 with the rockets was baiting so that the P-39 fighter could get the kill. Oh, these P-39s with those 37s also make short work of half-tracks, so Gonzo making good use of that. And you're going to continue to do so as he targets these 2 half-tracks moving across the open. Doesn't want to waste too much ammunition though. The M4A1 can't really maintain that engagement. It looks like the infantry that was protecting this flag did die just before the off-map came down. The Rocky SVT do die. T-34-85 can continue to engage the M4 A3E2 Jumbo, but won't really get anywhere anytime soon. That armor just a little bit too much there. Anyway, this Jumbo on the bottom side moving into position, that will stop these two T-34-76s in their tracks. Exactly what he needs in order to get things done. Bazooka is arriving down here on the bottom side as well. And at the moment, Prestor John's getting away with quite a nice hold here with the flamethrower and the 50 cal. If Gonzo maybe started to prod forwards with a few of these Strelki squads backed up by a tank, that'd be another place where he could potentially make some ground. Either way, looks like Gonzo's focused on trying to protect this objective. The engineers and the armoured rifles have managed to get down here without being shot at by enemy tanks, which is quite something. He's managing to get them out and into the town. The Tankos will do a lot of damage at close range still. It looks like his Thurki Comrati might also die. I mean, Prestor John somehow managed to slip those infantry towards the town and capture back that objective. Currently 12 to 12. Gonzo holds the objective in the middle, but is going to have to back off from the Jumbo. The P-39 is coming in for another strafing run onto this M8. Gets the kill. Nicely done. 37 rips through the hull. Now we've got a A-20C Boston taking out another AT gun. I think that was probably the same one as earlier. But good kills here for Gonzo, using these P-39s well. I said how the Air Force of the 29th was unremarkable, but Gonzo is certainly proving me wrong. The armoured rifles and the engineers there eventually getting hit very hard as they try and push into that town. Pushed off, Gonzo sits at 13 to 11. Avtos now arriving, looking to challenge the engineers in close cover. Engineers still do win, quite convincingly actually, due to that HE grenade. Two M4A1s coming out onto the bottom side. Especially now that he's strafed this M8, I wouldn't be surprised to see if Gonzo pushes through a few units here. Then again, he might just be more focused on this topside engagement. Now this Jumbo, has that ran out of AP shells? It almost has, yeah. It's currently on 1 AP shell. So he's turned off the AP shells, he's now using HE shells from the Jumbo to potentially kill the T-34s with HE from range. Interesting tactic. Again, the Avtos not really having much luck here. One of them's already been pushed back with 4 health. Fresh unit of engineers going to move up. Maybe do a lot of damage to this Avto unit as well. Prestor John still has a nice position. If he starts pushing forwards more aggressively onto these flags, he could definitely take them back and give himself the 13 to 11 in his favour instead. But Gonzo is going to have something to say about that. He's got an IS-2 on the way here. And there's not really that much that can stop an IS-2 from getting close on the side of the 3rd Armoured. He will have the AT guns, but he's going to have to find a side shot. And in an open valley like this, there is certainly potential for it, but he's got to maintain control over all of the high ground surrounding the centre in order to make that happen. A P-39 is coming in with a rocket strike. T-34 does go down further up. A rocket strike definitely hits the mark very well indeed. Lovely strike. Strelki going to survive. Weren't quite walking the right direction to go find the surrenders. Now moving into line of sight of these M4A1s isn't helping. Another rocket strike on the way. Does see the M1 gun up on the hill. Will he find the kill? Not this time around. And that's usually what I see happen with my rocket planes, is they'll do 2 or 3 damage, they won't get the kill. And then they get shot down. There you go, perfect example. M15 does its job, nicely done. Whereas Gonzo here has had a couple of strikes where he's got all of the rockets on target in order to get those one-shot kills with those rocket planes, which is really nice. Anyway, an M4A3 105 moving into this bottom side with a couple of armoured rifles. And one thing that I have been seeing quite a lot from Prestor John, while he doesn't feel like he's under too much pressure, is he does love to kind of like poke and prod in different directions on the map, which is really good to see. Like, it's a nice proactive play, forces your opponent to react. And well, there comes a second rocket strike from Gonzo. It doesn't get the kill and gets shot down again. So that's 2 planes, like 100 points plus each, that have been used to try and kill that M1 gun and failed. That's not good news for Gonzo at all. And this is something that Prestor John could certainly capitalize on when he has more Jumbos up his sleeve. We are into phase B with the Maverick deployment type, so he will have plenty of Jumbos available from here on in. But of course the IS-2 is going to be causing issues. All Gonzo really needs to do though is just fire HE at range, turn off the AP shells for the time being, and then when he gets close, turn on the AP and just blap those Jumbos in the frontal armor. Because again, there's not too much that Prestor John has to deal with that. So Prestor John's actually being forced to drop 200 or 450 kilogram bombs onto these IS-2s. And that's going to do plenty of damage to the IS-2, but he's going to need more than one of those P-51s to actually get a kill. Now this 37 is on the way to prevent that from happening again. Gonzo realizes that Prestor John's going to continue to bomb his heavy armor if he does nothing about it. So he's bringing in the 37, which will do plenty of damage to a Mustang, because Mustangs are very weak. They have like a very fragile airframe in this. Just like those Cobras actually, although I think the Cobras are meant to be a little bit stronger. Yeah, Mustang's very, very weak, especially straight into AA, like the 37s. T-34, 85, 1944 coming in onto the bottom side. That tells me that Gonzo's looking to make a little bit of ground here. Although Prestor John, of course, is ready to go himself and has now purchased in a jumbo to back that up. 3 more rifles and a Command M4A1. So this is really starting to build up. Prestor John's gonna go for a big push on this bottom side. He's gonna look for this town flag, most likely. He's made some decent ground through this cover as well. Brought up a couple new armored rifles that can maybe push on to the Siedlce of Gonzo. I think in most cases, like, the infantry of Prestor John does outmatch that of Gonzo, but Gonzo can have a decent amount of Siedlce if that is his majority card. More armored rifles actually managing to get on top of this flag. That's going to push things back to 12-12, at least stop the ticket bleed for now. But he's going to want to find a 13-12 because he doesn't want the same thing to happen as last game. Prestor John really burnt out in the late game with his Maverick deployment type, and that didn't help him at all. Eventually just ran out of stuff and lost the game due to a lack of aggression, I would say. But now he needs to kind of move on. He's got this build up on the bottom side. He just needs to make it count, get a lot of ground, and then hold it as Gonzo comes back here at him with a decent amount of armor. Now this bazooka has managed to get all the way around to the backside. Potential here for him to snipe an IS-2. That would be very nice. I'd like to see him get that into position to do so. Boston's coming in with the 1,000 kilogram bomb. No AA, I believe, on the bottom side from Prestor John. So he spotted the artillery command unit. He's going to try and take that out to remove some of the veterancy on these half tracks, on the M4, on the infantry. Will that kill the target? Yes, it will. Takes out the bazooka as well. Lovely kill. The Gonzo weakening the bottom side, but here comes the push from Prestor John. He's also moving in with an AA piece, M15. That's actually moving up more to the center of the map. I'm surprised these are rushing ahead though, and these ones are not, further back. Maybe Prestor John's just trying to find out what he's up against first of all. But that's 1 unit of armored rifles down already, due to the T-34-85 firing away. You can move it out of line of sight and then carry them on, and that'll be okay. But Gonzo knows he can just ignore this jumbo. The jumbo can fire at the T-34-85 all day long and just will not penetrate. So Gonzo's purposefully trying to get his T-34 to kill all these half-tracks. You can see he's even queued up the orders so that he can kill them ASAP. Yeah, and that's going to force Prestor John to unload them. And now the Siedlce can engage the armored rifles in the open. Nice strafing around onto the M1 gun. Doesn't do as much damage as I would have expected. M15 is sitting behind it though. So that P-39 is in trouble. It might get shot down. Gonzo's going to try and get it out of there. Right now we see the M4A3 arriving. M4A1 backing it up as well. Jumbo is charging forwards. Just like I said, the IS-2 could charge towards this Jumbo. The Jumbos can charge towards T-34-85s. And with the bombing strike coming down from the P-51, that pins the units of Strelki that were hitting the armoured rifles in the open. More armoured rifles now on the way. Gonzo is going to be forced to react to this play from Prestor John. 13-11. He is making a strong push here. 45mm does end up killing 2 of the half-tracks, but the armoured rifles have made it into the town. That's the important part. If they can find the pin onto the Strelki Komroti, that's going to be some surrenders. Okay, kills it. That works too. No surrender just yet, though. The M3A1 half-tracks is pushing through as far as it can go. IS-2 arriving. Oh, imagine being that half-track driver, turning the corner straight into an IS-2. Not going to happen for now. Prestor John's going to invest in the M4A176s. That's going to be a nice choice, especially for dealing with the T-34-85s, although that's not going to need to happen. The M4A3, with its heat round, gets the job done, and the Jumbo takes out the AT gun at the same time. 14-10. Never mind. Goes back to 13-11. Gonzo now counter-pushing on the top side. The 2 Strelki pushing into the bazookas and engineers. Prestor John knows that if he's outnumbered, the engineers don't fare well in the open. They can do if they have the numbers, but not in that case. P-51, I think, is still going for some sort of strafing runs. Let's probably get that out of there so that he can reuse it ASAP before the AA arrives. The AA has already arrived, so never mind. M8 and the M4A1 going to be engaged by the 45mm AT gun and the T-34-85. The T-34-85 perfect position here to kill that off if it can hit the mark. This M4A1's pushing up very aggressively right on top of the Strelki. Strelki can get the AT grenade down. That's a big mistake actually from Prestor John. No need for him to put that M4 in harm's way like that. P-51 coming in for the strafing run. Going to help put some pressure onto that AT gun. Gets killed off by the M4A1. Nicely done. So yeah, a lot of troops coming in here. With the 4 M4A176s on the way, we may see a dead IS-2 in the future. The armoured rifles for now, they're going to have to fall back. Avtos are arriving, and at close range, they will do a lot of damage unless Gonzo lets them get taken out by a bazooka. This P-51 completely outstayed its welcome. P-39 takes it out. Another P-51 coming in for the bombing strike. This could be vital. Oh, the Avtos unloaded just as that hit. So they got pinned down as well. No damage taken though. P-39 also cleans up that Mustang. Now the Boston coming in for its own bombing strike. Oh, look at this half-track play. That was beautiful. He cleaned up both of the Avtos there. Probably wants to try and take out the Strelki as well. Very nicely done. Yeah, gonna get that surrender. Nice. Wonderful plays coming out from Prestor John. And once again, Gonzo is under pressure. A lot of pressure. 15-9. That's the double tick. 11 minutes. And Prestor John wins the game. He gets the armoured rifle bazooka shot onto the T-34-85. M4A176 looking for the kill onto the T-34. T-34's managed to reverse out of line of sight for now. M4A3 now being engaged by the IS-2. IS-2's backing off continuously because he does see the more M4A176s on the way. Infantry on the bottom side has been reinforced. 2 Strelki now sitting in position with 2 more Avtos on the way. P-39 Cobra coming in with the strafing run onto the M4A1. Just trying to prevent that from being too accurate in its engagement with the T-34-85. It's also going to allow maybe the T-34-76 up here to get involved. IS-2 on the hill actually has run out of AP shells. This M4A3 needs to be killed off now by the T-34-85 or 76, sorry, instead. Strafing run, nicely done, onto the armoured rifles. Gonzo needs to jump out the building to get the surrender there. Still 15-9 for Prestor John. M4A1 going down. Another P51 coming in with the bombing strike. That's going straight for the IS-2. Not going to get the kill. Does pin it down though. That's going to allow the M4A1 some free movement for the time being to push forwards, and this would be the time to go for it. If Prestor John can move these M4A1s up and continuously fire at the IS-2, he can probably get the kill, and as the IS-2 recovers, it shows its side armor and goes down. I think after it was pinned, it turned its back to the M4A1s, and he manages to find a kill. That is wonderful news for Prestor John. Opens up this bottom side completely, but he has lost another one of his P51 bombers, so he no longer has those available. I think he only has 3 in total. It does depend, maybe he has like 2 cards and there's 4 of them or something. But anyway, IS-2 going to be engaging the Jumbo at range. Oh, lovely kill there from the IS-2 1943. This thing has such a lovely line of sight over the valley. Okay, so now Prestor John, sitting on the 16-8, needs to maintain his aggression. He can't hold back like he did before, or it's going to cost him the game once again. It's not often, I say this again, that Gonzo is in this position. Gonzo has been taken down to 16-8. He's on an off-meta division. I would say 29th Tank Corps is very off-meta compared to the general Western Front divisions that we see. Oh, nice ambush from the Razvedka squad. Takes out the M4A1. The M4A1 did manage to kill the supply on the IS-2 though. The IS-2 was struggling for AP shells. Did manage to have them reloaded in time, but that will prevent them from being reloaded in the future at least. But yeah, Prestor John just needs to get some more infantry in here on the bottom side. Continue fighting over this town. Force Gonzo's sort of focus to the bottom side so that he can't counter push anywhere else. I am kind of surprised that this IS-2 hasn't done more. I feel like it could have definitely tried to move up whilst Gonzo had infantry in this town, because he can use the edge of this hill to kind of cover his left side from AT guns that would be up on the ridge and get closer to the Jumbo to find kills like this one did across the open onto that Jumbo. I believe that Jumbo was kind of showing front armor by the looks of things, so I was surprised to see the penetration. But either way, Strelki here getting taken out by the armored rifles. That's going to relinquish the forest completely to Prestor John, and he's going to be able to fortify that with more infantry if he brings it down. But I don't see any more on the way right now, and this might be just another problem with Prestor John's deck, where he doesn't have enough infantry to support his position in phase C, because you can't just like sit here at this point. You need to maintain the initiative in order to win. And I feel like that's a mistake that even some of the high level players make, and while an M4A 176 going down there as well is not good for Prestor John. Either way, yeah, I think it mainly comes down to just he's kind of happy on these flags. But what he doesn't realize that if he was pushing past the flags and forcing Gonzo to react, it wastes more time for Gonzo to come back into the game. And that's the big difference at this point. Bombing strike, 1,000 kilogram bomb comes down onto one of the M4A 176s, looking for a little bit of weakening onto that unit. P39 Cobras flying about. Looking for another strafing run, no doubt. These armored rifles are going to get overrun. No reinforcements anywhere to be seen for Prestor John. Maybe a couple more tanks would be nice, but here finally we see some armored rifles. Looks like that's more of a reaction though to these Razvedka, or maybe the Strelki here. This is not the time to become reactive. Prestor John, you gotta keep pushing. Gotta keep the initiative. As soon as you give Gonzo the initiative, he's gonna just take your arm off. He really is. IS-2 engaging the M4A3 105. That's 3 tanks now going down here. This Razvedka on his own. Bazooka on his back. Submachine gun in hand. What an absolute champion he has been. Okay, so we're going to see the M3A1 half tracks. Keep back the Strelki for now. Armored rifle is sitting in the heavy cover on this side. Might want to move back up a little bit more so that it can be covered. And you're going to force Gonzo to have to use maybe some artillery or an aircraft or something to get rid of those armored rifles otherwise. P-51 coming in with the bombing strike. 37 mil. Will that make it inaccurate enough? Oh, that P-51 just went straight down. Little strafing run from the P-39. Got the job done. The P-39 at the top of the map. But still 16-8 for Prestor John. Gonzo is in a tough old position. Now Gonzo, he needs to push back. He needs to consolidate his forces, make a very strong armor push potentially in the middle, make a good infantry counter push on the bottom side. He has already got himself into a reasonable position into the town to take back this flag. He will be taking this flag back shortly. Going to really come down to this T-34-85 1944 though. The APCR at close range might be just enough to do a little bit of penetration onto the jumbo, but I don't think he's convinced. Probably just going to try and charge it down with some Strelki. That might be more effective. So he does manage to get that flag back, so nicely done. This armoured rifle is being strafed by the P-39. Strelki squad does go down. He's also captured back this flag. It's now 14-10. And just like that, Gonzo is getting back the initiative. And that's back down to a single tick. So now instead of 4 minutes to react, Gonzo has 8 minutes to react, and that's a big difference. Nice little bit of damage there actually onto the M1 gun. More Strelki arriving. Those armoured rifles aren't firing, they're holding fire. That is not good. Okay, now they're opening up. Strelki go down. Bazooka's dead though. And these Strelki still pushing onto these tanks. Tanks just can't stay there without infantry support. And Prestor John, he brought in his infantry on this main road and further up. Now he can certainly go ahead and capture this flag. So that's one thing he could do to maintain the advantage. It's suddenly looking a lot better for Prestor John, although as I say that, the M4A1s are going to go down. The Strelki caught up to them. These two M45mm AT guns will start, or this 45mm AT gun and, sorry, the T-34 will be able to take out these half-tracks. So, yeah, I mean, Gonzo's got to get a move on, that's for sure, if he wants to stay in the game. But Prestor John is losing a lot of engagements right now. And it looks like Gonzo's trying to make a move on the top side. T-34 dies in the center. There's a lot of AT guns here, so that is impeding Gonzo's ability to make an armored push in the center. Okay, trying to go for the half-track kill there. Currently 14-10. 5 minutes left for Gonzo to bring this back. With the Maverick deployment type, I feel like Prestor John's in trouble. The armoured rifles here should have been so much sooner. Just 6 more units of armoured rifles straight into this bottom side to reinforce these objectives and continue to put pressure onto Gonzo. That's what you need to see. Now what's happening is you can see Prestor John is like desperately trying to capture flags so that he can maintain his advantage. And he's got 16-8. You had 15-9. He needs to hold on. He needs to hold on. I kind of feel like he's let Gonzo come back more than he needed to. But there's still a good chance that Prestor John's going to win this game. Gonzo has a lot of armor here. He's got 2 T-34-85 1944s and the Su-85. Nice thing about the 1944 variants is they do have 2 machine guns, just like the T-34-76s. Whereas the 1943 variants don't have. They only have 1. So 15-9, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Big old push coming through here. There goes the M3A1OP. This M3 half-track is sitting on the flag. It's trying to hold the ground. Strelki, Visivod pushing back armored rifles, engineers. That's another flag for Gonzo. 11-13. Strelki move in here to retake that flag. Stop the M3A1 from being a problem. That IS-2, lovely shot across the valley to kill the M4A176. Nicely done. Now a push coming in on the bottom. Takes back this flag as well. Avto's getting on top of the armoured rifles with the help of the IS-2 and the T-34. Bazooka does manage to kill off the Strelki squad with the help of the M3 half-track. The Avto's running in there across the open. They're taking a lot of damage. If they can get into cover, they can get their AT grenade off. There we go. Job done. There are more arriving though. The 2 armoured rifles coming in. Nice strafing run by the P-39. Although it might get taken down by the same M15 that's taken so many P-39s before. Still 13 to 11. 2 minutes left on the clock for Gonzo. This is so damn close. It really is. Avtos go down. The armoured rifle's pushing back for this flag on the bottom side. He needs to kill off this Avto here so he can take back the flag, get the M4A1 into position. That's going to force the IS-2 into a close range engagement where the bazooka might come into play. But look at this breakthrough on the top side. Multiple Avtos now pushing through with flamers leading the charge. Armoured rifles get pinned down before they unload. The Jumbo is all the way far back. T-34-76 has moved into position. That's now 13 to 11 for Prestor John. Oh, for Gonzo, sorry. Gonzo has taken the lead. It's now 27 minutes till Gonzo wins the game. And, well, unfortunately, it's looking very much like the first game right now. Prestor John. Damn. I would have just loved to have seen Prestor John 2-0 Gonzo. And it was possible. It was so possible. I really hope he watched back his own replays because he was so close. He still is so close. I mean, it's still 12 to 12. He could still do it. But I just feel like it's a little too far gone. He doesn't have the infantry availability to match Gonzo's flatline. And it's really, really starting to show. Loads of ground taken here. Got the T-34 on the flag that's got to be taken care of. The bottom side, is back in control of Gonzo completely. The T-34s are trying to get the better of the Jumbo, and they do. That's a nightmare for Prestor John. Oh, big blow for Prestor John's defensive line. Because now the Strelky can move forwards, reveal enemy infantry holding the line. T-34s do have the double machine gun HE to cover those infantry very well. And that will give Gonzo a good victory or lead on this bottom side. Because he's going to grab another flag. It's back to 12 to 12 though. IS-2 is doing its best to kill off the Jumbo, but doesn't have any HE or AP left. This IS-2 is firing HE now at the Jumbo in order to kill it. Strelky in the open, getting hit by the M3 half-track here. Might end up being pinned and forced back. That would be a nice pickup for Prestor John, because he can maintain his influence over the center of the map there with his half-track for the time being, forcing Gonzo to bring in a couple of T-34s. It's still all to play for. 12 minutes, or 12 to 12, in flags, M4A1s creeping forwards, trying to get influence on this flag as well. But not much more infantry coming in. We've got 4 more actual armoured rifles with BAR coming into the bottom side. This IS-2 is in trouble. Gonna unload. That's gonna be a bazooka shot into the back of the IS-2. A bit of a mistake there from Gonzo. That might cost him the game. Although, I guess he's got this M3A1 capturing a flag behind him. He's got the M4A1 up here capturing a flag. Prestor John has managed to push 15 to 9 briefly there. He's on 14 to 10. Can he do it? Okay, he's losing ground on that M4. This M3A1's going to get hit by the Strelky. Avtos take out the M4A1. Oh no. M3A1 gets taken out by the Strelky here. These 2 armoured rifles can keep pushing up, but the 2 further back. Looks like one was killed before it unloaded. That's not good news. Air engagement occurs. Is that another Mustang going down? Oh boy. Oh boy. I just can't help but feel bad for Prestor John right now. It's so close and he's going to surrender. Oh no. 38 minutes, 34 seconds. Gonzo takes the victory by the skin of his teeth. Minor victory. God. Prestor John. So close. So close. I have enjoyed this series between these two so much. These 2 games, like seeing Prestor John put Gonzo under that much pressure was impressive. Like, seriously impressive. It just bugs me a lot that Prestor John could have kept the aggression up and therefore won the game. It is a risky business. Like I say, like, oh, he could be aggressive and he could keep pushing up. I mean, there is obviously hindsight 2020 and we can see the whole field, but at the same time, when you're in a position where you have a double tick and even plus an extra flag, so 16 to 9 or 16 to 8, that is the time when you can't just slow down. You can't allow your opponent to build up enough of a push to counterplay, because you want them to still keep reacting, and that way you waste their time that they would otherwise have to build up a push and push back. And yeah, that was just not quite there. And in the end, 4,670 kills for 3,015 losses for Gonzo. Yeah. So Gonzo having to work very hard there to stay in the game. Very, very hard. His flatline deployment type is very outmatched until like the 30-point mark or 30-minute mark. And then he can use his income to come back into the game. But in both games, I do feel like infantry availability has been a big problem for Prestor John. And that might be something he might want to review in his decks, like even having an extra phase C card of infantry. I don't know if he has a phase C card in his decks, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like he's just playing off his infantry availability from phase A and B. Anyway, lovely job by that A20C Boston. We only saw one of them, but it got plenty of kills with that 1,000 kilogram bomb. Nice use of the fighter Cobras, shot down all of the P-51D5 bombers. He did have 4 of those in the end, Prestor John, and they all went down to the same P-39. IS-2. This IS-2 did really well, actually. Jumbo, M4A3, 2 M4A1s. The T-34, that just killed a lot of half-tracks. Again, more half-tracks going down to those T-34s. T-34-85 killed that Jumbo on the bottom side. And, oh, there's actually 6 bombers in the end from Prestor John. Yeah, 2 of them went down to the 37. So 4 to the fighter, 2 to the 37. Blimey. Well, there we go. Prestor John, unfortunately, missing out on taking a victory off Gonzo. That would have led us to a game 3, which would have been awesome in this best of 3 series, because both of these games have been so close. This one, Gonzo was so on the edge of losing. I don't know how he pulls it off. There is something that he does that just, I don't know, crazy stuff. Let me know what you think about that one in the comments, guys. It's a semi-final. Commiserations to Prestor John. There will be a 3rd place game, so we'll see Prestor John again. But congratulations on Gonzo going straight through to the final. That's it for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.